Nottingham Forest 3, Tottenham 0. My question to anybody who was watching that game, or better yet, if the squad or the manager listens, is who was actually bothered about getting a result? You know, like, didn't really hear the fans. I hear the fans singing Champions of Europe to a team that's won 2 Champions Leagues. Didn't make sense. None of the players were bothered. Like, nor was the manager. You know, we're losing 1-0. The players are just strolling around the pitch. And Thomas Frank does more talking than acting. Like, all he does is sits there with Justin and just talks. Stop talking and do something on the pitch, man. You know, the talking ain't talking. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many things I can unravel. I'm sitting there with my son, who's a 9-year-old, who's making more sense of some of these things in his games than what I'm seeing on the grass. Like, my son is watching the game and going, how come none of these players are doing what I was doing at football earlier? My son's 9, he's a 9-year-old, and he was running around, winning tackles, and he was doing that when the team was winning 1-0, and he was doing it in the game when we were drawing. All his mates were doing it in the team. Why can't we do that? That's how I play football. It doesn't matter. I'm of age. I'm 40, but I'm telling you now, I probably ain't got their fitness, but I'm telling you now, if Thomas Frank told me to do that, I'd probably go against it and get dropped, but I wouldn't care, because that's just turgid. Like, what normally, you know, I could take a loss, but I'm looking at that and thinking, everyone's talking about Thomas Frank is adaptable. You just got, like, Sean Dyche played better football than you with a team that was worried about being in the bottom 3 today. Sean Dyche and Nottingham Forest played some great football today, but apparently he's the one who's pragmatic and Thomas Frank's adaptable. How has Thomas Frank done what everybody calls a Sean Dyche to Sean Dyche? Sean Dyche played good football. Everyone's going on about his long ball this, long ball that. You know, there's things that Tottenham are doing that everyone associates with Sean Dyche, yeah? Goalkeeper just booing it long to a striker that probably stoned. Looks like he's been smoking weed all day. You know, we've got probably our best striker playing on the left wing, but are we playing him on the left wing because of height? Because Matthias Tell is probably a better winger than Colin Moani. So is Odebert. These are people that actually play on the wing. Thomas Frank has got 5 wingers and we decided to play with one of them. Now, I get it. To defend Thomas Frank slightly, a lot of the players we've got ain't good enough. It's as simple as that. You know, Tottenham fans, especially myself, I've had to realise that you've got to lower your expectations. There's no point in sitting there saying we're going to get top 4. There's no point saying we're going to do well in the Champions League. There's no point. Because even if we had a quality manager, some of these players probably ain't good enough to implement that either. But my thing is, Thomas Frank, like I've said on previous videos, yeah, he's like that supply teacher or that school teacher that you had that was nice, and more nice. What happens? You might bunk a lesson of school. You might not go to school. You might come in and go, oh, sir, I ain't got my homework, man, but I'll bring it in tomorrow. And he's like, yeah, no worries, Jacob, that's fine. This is who he's got as manager, and everyone's wondering why no one's up for it. You need somebody that's got a bit of cojones around them, you know. Like I say again, football management at the top level is not the same as what I do with my kids. But, you know, if my daughter's going into a play or my son's going to go play football, I'm in their ear going, you know what, man, just do your best, do this, you know, encouraging them. You know, my daughter doesn't need to be aggressive in a play, but sometimes she'll say she's nervous. All right, cool. I'm the one that's giving her that energy before she goes on stage. My son at football today, I was like, mate, no matter where you're playing, get stuck in. And when he started off, he wasn't really getting too stuck in. But when I'm saying, Austin, come on, get stuck in, all of a sudden, mate, he was winning tackles left, right and centre. Why can't our manager do that with players? You're getting paid how much money? All these players are getting paid minimum 100 grand a week. And you as a manager can't get that out of your players, but I can get that out of a 9-year-old that's been playing football for 3 years. Like, make it make sense. It's pretty obvious Thomas Frank doesn't want to press. But even if he doesn't want to press, if you go 1-0 down, you naturally press, you naturally run after the ball, you naturally get a bit more energy because of that desperation and the adrenaline you get in your body when you go 1-0 down. Our players are just like, yeah, it don't matter anyway. All of them look like they're wondering what they're going to do when they get in. Are they going to do the ironing? Are they going to do the cleaning? Are they going to go meet a team? I'm trying to go in and have a nap. All of them feeling sorry for each other, but collectively, all of you are responsible for that result, but more importantly, the manager, because I didn't see the manager going mad. But this manager isn't capable of going mad. Like I said, I'm somebody that whether I've been working at office or playing football with a coach, all of that, you get the best out of me by me being on the pitch thinking, I've got to perform for this manager. Because if I don't, I'm coming off. Or I might not even be in the squad. I might not even play again. That's when I've played better for football. Whereas if you've got a manager that's all nice and you're just playing for the sake of playing, and no matter what you do, they're like, oh, just keep going, Jake. You ain't going to get the best out of me and most people. But the difference between me and most of these players is I don't feel there's any real men in that setup. The whole thing, 25 man squad, and the manager and the coaching staff, They're men as in they're born men, but they ain't men up there. I don't look at anybody that gives me it doesn't fill me with any hope that you think like me. I'm not better than you at football. I'm not better than you as a manager, but there's some things that people like me think. There's people like, when I'm talking about real men, I'm talking about people like Haaland, mentality monster, just in all the time. Jurgen Klopp fed that into a whole squad. There was people like Salah, Chelsea reject, Mane, he's come from Southampton, Firmino, who's this guy, come from Hoffenheim. Mentally, it was restored in them by a manager, and they went and won the lot. Now, I'm not sitting there saying we're going to get Jurgen Klopp, but there's managers out there that install some sort of winning mentality or better football. Like I keep saying, Areola, he's at Bournemouth. The stadium's, 15,000 capacity? They ain't bringing much money. They're having to sell players just to keep the books sweet. How is it that he can get them pressing from the off? They look like they're up for it. They look like they've had their bananas, their Weetabix, and they've had the rollicking before the game. But even at half time, come on, let's be real. If you're a hardened Spurs fan and you're giving Thomas Frank a chance, do you generally look at him and think that, Thomas Frank's going to ruffle a few feathers at half time? Half them players, you can tell, they look at him and just think he's a little weasel. No disrespect to Thomas Frank, but they do. You can tell the players ain't got the respect. There's no fight. There's no challenges. There's no nothing. Everybody looked on the pitch kind of upset, but they're not doing what you're supposed to do, try and win games. Win your tackles, win your battles. What are they doing? You got Pedro Porro that just starts needless fights. We're 1-0 down, and we're playing relatively well. And what does he do? Tries to start a fight with Elliot Anderson. You're slowing down the game, you idiot. If we're 1-0 up, do all of that, ruffle a few feathers. We're 1-0 down, and you're slowing the game down with 5 minutes before half time. You got Richarlison, man. I mean, how has he done 90 minutes, man? How's the guy done 90 minutes? I don't understand how this guy has done 90 minutes. I did more in my kitchen this morning than he did today. He did nothing. Nothing but cry, roll over, and just do what he does. But it's like, this is why I can't stand Richarlison. I never used to be able to stand him at Everton, because this is the stuff he used to do. Now he's doing it at my club. But everyone will go, but he scored 7 goals. Yeah, he scored 7 goals. There's players out there that have also scored 7 goals, but they bring more to the game. Look at Jesus, who's playing for Forest today. How is it that Nottingham Forest, who are in a relegation scrap, have got a striker that's better than all 3 of ours? He's better than Richarlison. He's probably better than Solanke, and he's probably better than Tell. We've spent what? That's about £150 million worth of talent Tottenham thought were good enough, but Nottingham Forest have got a striker that's better than him, and he's not even their first choice. It's Chris Wood. This is what I'm saying. It's just all around the board. It's terrible. But at the same time, that's not going to excuse Thomas Frank. You've dealt the cards you play with. You've been backed. You've got Paulinho. You've had Tell. I'm sure you've had a say in all these guys. Now, my thing is, if the players ain't good enough, I ain't got a problem with that, so to speak, to blame Thomas Frank. My issue is, though, why are you not playing a type of football that is needed in the Premier League? Nottingham Forest managed to do it with Sean Dyche. Why? Because Sean Dyche is adapt. But people are telling me Thomas Frank's the adaptable one. This is what all the journalists are saying. Thomas Frank spends too much time talking on the sideline, talking to the media, to be the media darling. Whereas I'd rather you be someone that manages my club properly and everybody hates you. Look at Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp is a good man. Realistically, even if you're a Man United fan, Jurgen Klopp is a good man. He's got good morals, everything. But everybody hated him. Why? Because he brought those morals to Liverpool, and Liverpool just beating up everybody. That's the managers I want. I don't want a manager that everybody thinks nice. Oh, he's got long hair. I don't care. You got people like Archie Gray. We've got players. Are they good enough? But everyone's like, oh, but his uncle played before, and I've played with his cousin. I don't care what you've done. I don't care. Are you good enough? And is the manager going to set us up properly? And at the minute, it's neither. Like, realistically, the way we're going, are we going to be in a relegation scrap again? Let's be real. Everyone's going, oh, don't be silly, Jake. But, you know, again, are we going to find ourselves in a position like last season where just because the relegated teams were that bad, we stayed up? Because realistically, Wolves are down, aren't they? You know, they were down ages ago. Burnley, probably the same. There's wriggle room for West Ham, Leeds, and everyone's saying Nottingham Forest. But I'm looking at Nottingham Forest thinking they beat Liverpool away. They've just beat us. Sean Dyche is going to get them a few points just like he did with Everton. Are Forest going to finish above us? Because correct me if I'm wrong, I think they're only about 5 points behind us, something like that. Do you get what I'm saying? We're gonna play Liverpool next week and get thumped. I don't hear nothing. I've got Liverpool family, Liverpool friends. We are gonna get beat. There's nothing I saw from today that we're gonna do Liverpool. And even when we played Slavia Prague and Brentford, fair enough, we won them games, kept a clean sheet, but it weren't plain sailing. Slavia Prague had quite a lot of chances. Sorry, we didn't really keep them at bay. If they had better players, they would have got a result. Right? Brentford, we went 2-0 up. Cool. We tried to shut up shop. They still had chances, even though Brentford were terrible. Like, we were lucky Brentford and Thiago were terrible, because if they weren't, we would have got that would have been a draw. And because it's all about Thomas Frank, maybe the players stepped up a little bit. But come on, man. You can't pull the wool over my eyes. What, because we beat Brentford and Slavia Prague, that all of a sudden I'm going to be jumping around? I've told everybody, wait till that game against Liverpool. We ain't winning it. Because I don't see how our defence copes with Ekitike. You know, what we're going to do, we're going to start Ben Davies, because that's what Thomas Frank's doing nowadays, taking off Jed Spence for Ben Davies. Like, I'm just going to end it there, you know. The fact that we're bringing on Ben Davies right now, not just a centre-half, because everyone's talking about, oh, he does a job centre-half, we're bringing him on at left-back, causes me to close this video down and just look forward to a whooping next weekend against the Scousers. Good night, God bless, have a nice Sunday. Jacob on the one up top.